welcome to the first up of the Color Palette Roulette Challenge. And as you can probably guess, this is being filmed at around Valentine's, and I've already done part one of this challenge. So remember, I'm going to remind you that the challenge is basically I go into one of the color cubes and I either randomly pick a palette card, or in this case, because it was Valentine's Day and I had a color palette in mind that I wanted to try, with the teal and blue being the wild cards, I found this one. It's card 286. And these are the colors: turquoise, light blue, dusty purple, burgundy, mulberry, and magenta are the names that they give them. These are all the different variations and ranges that were given with this card. I decided to go through my supply of paints, and I actually had a ladies book club coming up this past week, and I wanted to give these little 4x4 canvases painted for Valentine's Day, just in time for Valentine's Day. And so I did 12 of them already. These are the 4 that are left. The challenge today is you don't have to go and get 4x4 1-inch canvases from Michael's or wherever. You can actually use watercolor paper. And the challenge today is I'm going to take similar colors, use a watercolor paper journal. So this one is a little bit larger. This is a Canson watercolor, and they're 9x12 sheets. I like this because it's spiral bound, but it also has perforations so that the pages can come out later if I decide I want them to come out. Now, what I went ahead and did was, as you can see, I've measured out to find the center of the page, center this way. Now, I've already gone and I've taped off a little bit of a border. This is paper towel underneath because sometimes once I get going, and even though I'm going to use acrylic paints, sometimes they can still get a little wet, and it's watercolor paper, so it can bend and warp. I'm trying to already make sure that I have a border, and I got one clip here already in case it starts to warp. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 4 hearts, one for each of the 4 sections. And then I've already picked out some of the colors that were used before. I have a quin red. This is a heavy body, so this one can be really heavy. I think it's what I used here. And then I have a Liquitex in the purple that I usually have mixed down with an Americana Deco Art lavender. Have a little bit of Blick's Red Violet Deep. And then for some more reds, I've got this Deco Art Americana, and this is Cranberry Wine. Here is a Folk Art Matte finish in Berry Wine Bordeaux, another Folk Art. This one is in Vintage Tea Rose, in case I want to try and get lighter, mix things up. I have another Blick, and this one is a dark green light that I tended to mix with this Deco Art Desert Turquoise just to change up the color a little bit. There might be some color mixing going on. My thought is I'm going to do a dark purple, a dark red background, and then up here I'm going to do probably a lighter red and a lighter purple. And the hearts will be typically lighter colors. So the red down here will have the darker purple. We may see up here, if I do a lighter purple, I may put in a lighter pink instead of red. I still am going to use my caveat that whatever color palette is chosen here, I still can bring in a white, a black, or a metallic, which I did here, because this is metallic gold. And I actually did bring in a yellow for this one because it just looked like it was screaming for a yellow. These details here, a lot of these are done with Posca pens or different acrylic paint pens. So we'll see those when the time comes for that. But right now, what I need to do is make sure I'm set up. If you're following along, just a regular good old number 2 hard pencil. And then I'm going to have a kneaded eraser or a regular eraser just at hand in order to erase any stray marks if I want to. You'll see that what we're going to use here also is a little bit of an angle flat brush. because I'm going to paint around the hearts first to get the background, and then able to use a little bit of a round. I think this was the one I did a 6. I think I have an 8 that I can go grab too. That's going to allow to do some of the work of painting the heart. I'm going to go and put the hearts in here, draw them in, and then we will get painting. I am back, and as you can see, I've drawn out the 4 different hearts. I have a glass of water. I have what's called palette paper. You can see I used this already in the other one. Palette paper is basically synthetic, and it allows me to mix the acrylics and they don't soak in. If you're using like a paper plate, which is perfectly fine, the paint can dry up really quickly because of the paper. So this doesn't allow it to dry too quickly. So this one I've already been using. I have a clean one, and I have a rag and some paper towel for dabbing and cleaning my brush while I'm going. And again, this is the color palette. I'm gonna put it over to the corner. All right, I wanted to do the darker reds and purples down here. So we're gonna start with that and then see where I go from there. Let's do the Bordeaux. I liked that one, and it had a really good coverage. So get this over here. You guys over there in case I need you. And then let's go ahead. And I'm going to spread this out first. Go. And a little bit of water on my brush. And I'm going to add just a little bit of this Urtrick into it. So this Quin Red. Put a little bit to the side. And let's see what I can mix up. Okay. So let's see what happens when I put just a little bit of these together. Sort of liking that. That to me looks like a little bit more of a traditional Valentine's red going on there. So just mixing this in a little bit. Remember, and I have to remind myself, these palette challenges are challenging me to just get up and paint. Get out of the analysis paralysis. And one of the best things about painting is you're going to make errors. Paint will drop where you didn't expect it. It doesn't come out the way you imagined it to be. But what can you do to fix it? And also, you're going to hear me say a lot of times, I think too, oh, we're in the ugly stage. So paintings have an ugly stage. And sometimes it just means you need to walk away and come back versus throwing it on the heap. Again, I'm using a wedge. I have this all taped off, and I'm just going to be going in here the best I can, trying to follow the lines the best I can. And it's okay if I go over. There's ways to fix it, or to just go with it. And that's fine. You can move your paper around. It's so funny how when I first started, I was like, oh, you know what? I can move the canvas. I can move the paper. I don't have to stay stuck in one area. And it just amazed me how I was so held on, you can't move, you can't do this, you can't do that. A lot of rules are meant to be broken. So it's true, but I don't want that to be something that is stopping me. I allow a lot of things to stop because I'm afraid I'm going to do something wrong. And that doesn't just have fun. Okay, we've got almost one done. Like I said, may come back and try another layer. May leave it as is. Gonna have a lot of paint. Probably gonna have to grab another piece of paper. All right, I am rinsing my brush. All right, now purple. I am going to go with this dioxine purple. I think I'm going to do this deco. So this is a little bit thinner, but it's still a lavendery purple, and we're going to go from there. I may end up putting this red violet in. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to go over here. Okay. So let's try and put this out here a little bit. Now you can go to Michael's, Blick, even if you want to do them online, or you can even, if you want to still use Amazon, you can go online there and you can buy these little bottles yourself. And you probably, if you went in person and you took the card, you could match it up to all these different bottles because, you know, they're all in racks in a row. You could go and find just close to what you think the purple is. Now, they're not always exactly what they look like in the bottle. They can be a little bit different once you put them on paper or the canvas. That's why we do a lot of what's called swatching, taking the bottle, putting the paint out, and then painting it on what we would normally paint on, like watercolor paper, and see what it actually looks like. Here, you can see how it's a little bit different, like when you do it a little bit darker, have more paint on the brush, so it's a little bit darker versus when my brush is getting a little bit emptied. Like I said, it's just paint, just trying to get out of your own way. Okay? That's part of what this is. Get out of your own way. You don't have to do this with paint. You could have colored pencils. You could watercolor. Okay. Color a little bit more in because drying. All right. There. The wonkiness going on there. Now, since I've got purple on my brush, I think what I want to do is I'm going to do a shade of purple up here. All right. I want to add this to it. Let's see. This could either be a oh boy or a oh good. Let's see what we got here. All right. Mix it all in. Got a little bit of that red tone so we don't quite know what we're going to get. Hopefully have enough of it. So instead of having more, probably this is more of a blue tone purple. This is going to have more of those red. All right. See if I'm still in line. Okay, here we go. I think it's the same. A little different. I ended up trying to figure out how to help myself about a year ago because my mom had passed away. Been pretty creative, or I really enjoyed painting and drawing when I was a little girl, photography when I was a teenager, and then again a couple of years ago when I was laid off again from healthcare. But I was just watching tons of YouTube videos. Purple in there. Oh, yeah. I cannot leave you open. Remind myself to close you. Don't want acrylics to dry out. Acrylics will dry out. Watercolor, you can let them dry out and then reactivate them with water again. So you can actually leave them in your palette, reactivate them. But when it comes to acrylics, you do need to remember to shut down your containers. Otherwise, you will be crying. Okay, it's going to be a different color. Looky there, not too different. Getting a little bit of an ombre on there. Okay, almost at this corner. That's going to have an interesting edge because I went right up against the tape that I put in there. Okay, it's the same color, a little bit more. Yeah, they're light shades off. It's okay. All right, let's start trying to get some of this purple off here. Another thing to keep in mind, do not leave the brushes in water. It is not good for the bristle. The water can also get up. These are plastic handles because these are just cheap artist lots from Michael's. But some of my other ones are nicer from Princeton, and they're wood handles. What can happen is you'll split the wood and you'll start degrading the bristles and everything. So you don't want to leave your paintbrushes in water. Sometimes you'll see people doing that. Okay, so now we've got this red up here. We got one more here, and I want to make it a little lighter. Let's see what it looks like if I add this tea rose into it, okay? We'll put it on the outskirts here. They end up pulling in a, ooh, I have carousel pink out here. Let's see. What do you think? What are your bets? Let's see. A little bit. Definitely gonna get it darker. Still in a darker red, but more of a darker pink coming in here to go up here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break. I'm going to let these guys dry a little bit better versus using a hair dryer. You can use a hair dryer. It's really good if you have a hair dryer with a cold setting, but then you're not overly heating the page. All right, let's see what this is going to look like. Get that in a little bit, because what you can do is once they're dry, you can always take this out, cut it down, and then what you can do is you can make cards out of it. These will be roughly, when I measured it out, this is a 9 by 12 inch sheet of watercolor paper. And so when I measured them, these are about 4.5. That line's at 4.5. This is at 6. So roughly under 4.5 by 6 going on. So you could go and frame that yourself with a little bit of a matting to help fit a frame. Okay. Want to be wonky. A little bit more wonky than what I want it to be. Now, still go in and paint it. Reshape it if I want to. Dry? That's not dry though. Steady your hand. Get a little bit more on this brush. There. So funny how I have just perfect on this. Even though I still sit here going, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. There's still that part of you that, oh, you went over the line, or I don't know. Paint inside the lines, paint inside the box. And here, when you start doing painting and you do more of a abstract approach like I do, for the most part, or whimsical, it doesn't matter. Purple got in there a little bit, didn't it? Okay, I've got that all the way up. Yes, I do. Yep, all right. So, ended up not doing the greatest of staying in the lines here. We're going to see, because this will probably be a purpley tone going in there, and the purples will have more of a pinky or red tones going in there. Red, maybe pink. And then purple, maybe more lilac-y. We'll see. All right. So at this point, I'm going to allow this to have a real proper dry. Maybe get the hair dryer out, and then we'll come back and we'll start filling in the heart. Okay, I think we're pretty dry. That might still be a little wet. Took a little bit of a break. Tip here, I had that extra paint. Don't really want it to go to waste and dry out. So what you can always do with acrylics is you always get a piece of plastic wrap and cover up your paint a little bit so that it stays a little bit on the wet side so that you're not completely at risk of losing it all. Let's get back into it. We're going to do some painting of the hearts. And I realized that one of the reasons why I liked this palette so much was because of that teal. So teal and a light blue. So where do we want to put that? And I don't want to do purple here, but pinks and blues go really good together. I think this might have some teal coming into it. And I'm going to stay with the purple. And I think I want to do like see what I can do with that purple, mixing it down. So let's get to it. I am actually going to use, this is a Princeton Lauren, and it's a 6 round. So I'm going to start with this one. Okay, so this is an 8 round. So let me just get that back into shape a little bit. Not exactly the best point on it anymore. I've abused it the last couple of months. Don't know who it came from. It was part of a box that came with a whole bunch of products to try out, but it is on the 8 round side. The point is dying there. But anyway, let's get to business and figure out what we're going to do with these hearts. We're going to start out with purple here. Let's see. And I wanted to do purplish here. We'll put more purple in with that violet. See what we get going on there. Could keep it that way. Remember right, I didn't like that. Let's see what happens if I just have white on hand. So this is a Trillium white. Let's see if I can get it in there. And it's Yvette St. Armand's paint. Really good quality matte paint. I'll put a link with everything else in the description area for this video. We'll say that if you see links that are for Flick, I am an affiliate with Flick, and I will remind you in the description that I am. That just helps me out. I get a little percentage, and that helps keep this channel and my Substack going. All right, let's get in here and see what this purple looks like. Stop fussing with mixing, and let's just go ahead. Okay, move you out of the way. Use my arm. Now, see what I said too? Like, you can paint this, and so all of those lines from the pencil that I did to draw out the heart first, they're all gone. Pretty much. And I can also use this time that if I'm not really too happy with how, yep, see, it was actually going pretty good there. I messed it up, but that's okay. It's just paint. It really teaches you to have a sense of humor and to get over yourself. Paint don't care about your feelings or your need to be perfect. It's just paint. Just here to try and get itself on the page. Okay. Come on, guys. There, I knew I had some more out here on this palette. And I know this is going to be a long video, even if I am able to edit it down a little bit. However, this is really more about a special kind of like holiday kind of video, since it is coming on Valentine's Day while I'm painting this. So it is a little bit more holiday special oriented versus I think sometimes when I'm going to be doing this, it's just going to be more 1 or 2 stages. This one has multiple stages that need to have it done, because after I paint the heart, I got to do some of the different mark making. We're not just going to have hearts. I mean, you could if you wanted to. You could just leave it and be done with it. Absolutely. But am I? No. Okay. I know I want to do teal up here. These need to be in the pinks and the reds. All right. That means I got to go in here, teal over here for a minute. And I think I'm going to use this nice carousel pink. I want to get those candy tones like here. I want to go a little candy. So if we look at the card, magenta was the first original one. And I wanted reddish magenta, a little bit more dusty there. Let's see what we do if we put in this. Still got some white I can go after. What happened? Okay. How am I thinking about this? It's definitely going to be dusty. More that dusty rose. Got a little bit of pink in it. What do I want to do? Do I want to put magnolia? Let's do this is a magnolia pink. What happens if I put the magnolia in there? That's going to look good up there for a lighter one. So what happens if we mix it in here right now so that it's a little bit still on the darker side? And then we'll really lighten it up into here. Okay? You can just play around. Doesn't hurt. think what I want to do, add a little bit more of that coral. What's this gonna look like? Guess we'll find out. There you go. Well, you can color me surprised. I was not having faith with this color. I was really not having faith with this color. It surprised me. Going outside the line, definitely. See if I can balance myself here a little bit. And I'm not going to get too upset that this is going to be a little bit transparent over this purple. And that's okay. Because like I said, you can always paint more layers. And the other thing too is, remember, I still have to come in to do some embellishments, some additional markings. I'm going to be using are what are called Posca pens, in case we have people watching that are not familiar. Posca pens are basically acrylic paint in pen form. I shake them up, make all that rattling sound, and they're like an acrylic paint, but in a pen. And so sometimes that helps, especially somebody like me who doesn't exactly have the most steady hands. Ooh, we got a different color going in there. All right. Get more of that dusty. Let's see what happens. All right. I think we're back to a little bit more of the pink tone that I wanted. Going pretty fast right now because I know these videos are going to be really long. Hopefully, if you're like me, when I first started watching videos, it just mesmerized me to listen and watch. I actually get very relaxed watching somebody else paint. And I needed to be relaxing at that time. Decided I'm going to have to go get my liner. Nope. Did it. Okay. But those guys over there to get that last section here. Pretty good. Work with me. Going outside. Okay. I'm going to be okay with that. We're just going to let that go. All right. Now, let's do definitely more of the magnolia with a hint of this coral. And you'll always get it on the bottle too. It's not like you have to put your toys back exactly as you found them. I'm going to mix this all up here. Ooh, it's getting all goopy on that paintbrush. I think I'm going to add just a titch more of this carousel pink. Oh, look at that. Little lighter than the other one was. Just a tad. A little of that hot pink going in there. And you're on a roll and you're like, really good paint in there. And then you come up here again, finish it off, and you're outside of the line. You win some, you lose some. All right. Use some of the excess on my paintbrush. How are you liking the color combinations? You can always do it different. You don't have to stick exactly with my palette challenge colors. You can do this with candy colored, more candy colored, with yellows and definitely more of the teals and a very vibrant purple. You could do that. Or you could stick with really trying to get like a nice deep red. Up to you. If you decide to do this, it's your canvas, your watercolor paper. You get to choose. Okay. Coming in for a landing on this one. All right, line it up if that'll be the case. A little bit of white poking through that I'm not happy about. Going over it. Trying to make the strokes all add up. Trying to see if I can get this out just a hair bit more. All right, we got the pink. Now, because I'm going to go into the teal, over here in the water cup, trying to get as much of this pink tones off of here. This is a turquoise. Yeah, teal, turquoise. Oy. All right, so let's put it over in here. I think I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. So it's not in your face. Teal, turquoisey. All right, now this should be coming out. Hopefully I don't have more than what I wanted. Fun. Okay. I'm just going to mellow it out a little bit with some white. Putting the white in there. Okay. Let's see what we can do. There we go. Oh, I'm liking that. I'm liking that color. Let's see what we got. All right. Here we go. Last of the hearts going in here. Last of the hearts to be colored. Okay. Gonna go get that. Ooh, something was not. I must have a little bit of pink still somewhere. There we go. Okay. We'll just try and take advantage of that somehow. Or ignore it. I have to go in. I'm a little braver. Try and go in there and get that little spot out. Okay. Now, this is dark enough that, look, that part where I went over before, I just reclaimed the shape. Okay. Oops. A little bit of pink in there. Smart Linda would be about to change the position of this. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Put some more teal on there. Pink is still in there. Phantom pink. That's because this doesn't have the best weight anymore, which is sad. And a good brush. But your brushes do wear out, just like your sneakers and your shoes. They can run out, especially when you use them all the time. If they end up being your favorite paintbrush size. Go over that line there. I feel lucky. Ooh, there's that. Oh boy. Emergency. Go over and try and get. Look at that. All right. Okay, let's rinse it. Always try and have at least 2 cups of clean water. One starts to get all the dirt, the dirtier colors in it. And then sometimes see, that's going to be too wet. Dry it out a little bit. Bad thing is I am about to add to the mix of water. But hopefully I'm not watering it down too much. First things first, let's try and get this done. You got just a little bit coming through that. Tried to reclaim it with that over this pink background. Now, what can happen here is more of a highlight coming on there. Who knows? All right, we've got this taken care of. Gonna let it dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to start doing some mark making with different shades of these colors and the acrylic pen, Posca pen. All right, so it's dry. I went and used a little bit of a small hair dryer. Make sure that this is all pretty dry, looking pretty good. Got my Poscas out. Always good to have a piece of paper handy so that you can prime the pens, test them out, see if you like the colors or not. Probably going to do heavy with the pens now versus the paint. We'll see what I come up with, and we'll do a little bit of this, show you what I mean by trying to do some marks, and then I can always come back, show you what I ended up with, and then what a lot of people love actually hearing and watching is peeling the border off. So yeah, we're getting ready. I do have yellow here just in case I get inspired to do yellow. All right, what do I want to do with you to prime it? Nope, this one's been used before. So these are a little bit on that chunkier tip size, which isn't exactly, the greatest sometimes. I want to just do marks. We're just doing some mark making and give it a little bit more character, make it look like it's going off the page a little bit. You don't have to do the whole heart with this. You can just do what you want in a different area. Now that I have it open, it'll look good on this one. Thinking of something here. I gave myself enough room and dry for a little bit. I'm going to stick with my standard outlining it gold. See what I meant about how I shouldn't get myself all in a tizzy if I'm not doing a perfect paint. Come back because that's a little bit on the wet side. Hold my hand up a little bit. We're going to just come around here. You can always come back even at another day and just go ahead and do different things with it. All right, let's see if they're good to go. They're a little bit on the wet side. What could I do there? I could do what I did over here on one of the other ones and make a doily effect while we wait for other things to dry. Are they uniform? Nope. Some are looking like M's, some are looking like triangles. And then you're working with the fact that trying not to actually put your hand into any wet paint so you can get some whoopsies. Now the good thing about this is all in one big journal basically. So I can always come back in and show you if I go ahead and change some of this, because it's probably what's going to happen is that I'll come back and do some different things here. Come back and put more red in there. Move it around, try and figure out how I can do this without getting my arm into everything. When anything comes into doubt, you can also do splatter. Let's see how I've got some of that white going all over the place. You can always come in and do a white splatter. White is actually, for anybody who doesn't know, very hard because it's very hard to get a white that doesn't bleed or is fully opaque. So you can see a little bit through it. Poscas aren't fully opaque. They're pretty good. For sure there's other marker brands that might even be better. I like to use a bleed-proof white paint sometimes, but I didn't want to take the time out to do that. Felt like using markers today. That's what we're doing. Some pretty bad flower petals of the flowers, and that's okay. And there you go on that. We can let that dry a little bit. And I think there's something I'll come back in and maybe do that pink. Another pink. We could see. Or could come in and do a purple. We shall see. All right. Now, what can I do? Do I want to keep going or do it with the white, or do I want to rest the white? Let's rest the white. All right. Let's see what this pink is. Let's go ahead. Okay. I know what I want to do. Where did you go? There you are. Okay. Comes in handy. I'm gonna do this. See what he looks like. You could do it freehand. I didn't feel like freehanding it, so I didn't. All right, and lift it up. Let's go ahead and round it a little bit. There we go. We're going down into the weeds on that one. If these were on canvas, you could actually paint over the side of the canvas and have it go on the outside so that people's eyes could be drawn to it. All right, so we've got a little bit going there. Don't think that I want to do pink petal. I want to do doily. I think I have a dark green hanging around here. Let's go. We did a little here. I want to try a little bit more in here. All right, here we go. You don't even have to do the whole thing. You can let some of that darker color pop through. You may be going, I'm going to go a whole different direction than you. That's fine. It's your work. You can do whatever you want to do. Okay? And let's see. You can go ahead and even do things like this. You can go ahead and just make marks out here. Okay? As we know, we've got that in that corner area. And this is where we know it's going to be cut off. So you could actually just do that. Trying to get the eye to move maybe a little bit up like this. A little bit here. Might have to come back. Can always use a different color. Let's see, is there anywhere else we want to do that color? A little bit. Round it out, square it out a little bit so that we've got squares going on here. Trying to do something like maybe there's dashes in between there. Got circles, so you can make it a little bit of a difference by having some straight lines going in a different direction than what the rectangle square seems to be going in. You don't have to be worried about if you go and paint over something. It's all good. One of the hardest things for artists is to paint over stuff that they've done. It pains us to paint over things because sometimes we've really worked hard to get it to do that, and then we paint over it. I'm going to go ahead and do gold in here. What am I thinking? There we go. Oh, eye on me now. Okay. That going a little bit there. Figure out something that I can put in here. Thinking, yeah, I'm going to do white. Or do I want yellow? All right, let's get going here. Grandma's doily. This reminds me of those old-fashioned, when we would make these in school, and you would use the paper doilies. They always seem to have this fringe to them. Okay. Pinks, whites, teals. Where are we going? Circles. And then I'm going to just go off on my own. If I decide to do anything more, you'll see when I come back. Otherwise, I may decide to just let it go for the moment. Now, you could have also put like some sentiments in here. Joy and hope and love and kiss and all that kind of stuff. So that's other things that you could have done too. I hate my handwriting, so I didn't. Almost like petals. Petals in the wind. Come back and always try and give them a little bit more of a point. I'm going to go off and play, see if I want to add some stuff to this, and then I will come back when I'm ready to untape and you can see what it looks like on tape. Okay, so I did a little bit more, I guess you could say. just really was drawn to doing yellow with the purples today versus the yellow with the teal green tones the last time. Added a little bit, had to throw in some metallic, did some white splatter up here, which was basically taking this pen and throwing it around a little bit. So now what's going to happen is the untaping. So I have a hair dryer nearby. See if I can do this without it taking an obscenely long time. Here we go. Let's see what it's going to do. Usually just go slow, go at an angle. Again, I can always go and get my hair dryer. So there's one piece. All right. Let's see if we can get it to go down here. Go. Back and focus. Move away from the painting. Oops. I guess we're going to go in here. Temporarily detour through here. And again, I can take that all off. I can go erase it, do a whole bunch of different things with it. Let's go ahead. Going. This is the last part I like. Get the middle strip to go down. Okay, here we go with that. Now, last one. Yeah, this one I picked. I had a bigger piece on here. Come on. There you go. All right, everyone. Let's take that out from behind it. Okay, there you go. We used this palette with me bringing in gold, white, and I made a call and brought in the yellow again. So not part of this palette, but pretty much I used a good amount of that palette in there. All right. I hope you enjoyed and see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed today's class. Thank you for following along. And please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It helps me grow the channel, and I appreciate it so much. Until the next time, have a great day and keep creating.